Well, we're coming to the end of summer 2020, and I want to share with you today 2 knives that have been vying for my attention and field use every time I hit the trail this past summer. We're going to be taking a look at the Knife Connections Architect Field Buddy 5.5 made by Tops Knives and the ROKKA Knives Wilderness Warrior. Well, that's right, folks. Welcome back to another video here at Gideonstactical. I'm Aaron, and we're gonna have some fun today on kind of a unique discussion point. You know, here in 2020, I've been hitting the trail a bunch, like a lot of you. You know, there's not a lot else to do. For me, I do it every year, but for many of us, we're getting into it more. Maybe that's, you know, that was just one of many things you did, but this year, because of worldwide lockdowns and different things like that, you're like, well, I'm gonna hit the trail, and maybe you're getting really into day hiking, maybe multi-day backpacking, whatever it may be. Well, I test out and review a lot of knives here, but I really, this summer, have connected so well with these two very different, but still have the same theory of use, if you will, the way that you would use the knife in these two designs, the ROKKA Wilderness Warrior and then this Architect Field Buddy 5.5. And what really connects with me and what we're about to see with both of these knives, and anytime I take a knife, particularly on a day hike, there's a difference for me between either car camping or if I'm maybe testing out blades, or it's like we're gonna go hike in somewhere, usually not super far, and then we're gonna set up camp. I mean, we're gonna set up shop, we're gonna do some bushcraft skills, we're gonna build a fire, we're gonna be hanging out, chopping down wood and splitting and batoning and just hanging out, and it's really about having fun together with the tools. There's a part of that, and that's where like large survival knives sometimes come into play, and choppers and hatchets. But if I'm just like, dude, we're gonna crush 10 miles today, I want a good solid fixed blade with me, but the point is to not even probably use it. And if we do use it, I know that it's gonna be great, reliable, robust, and good in all sorts of woodscraft, particularly tasks. So that's what I feel like these two knives offer in very different styles and very different ways. So that's what I want to do today, is just show you why these have been connecting with me so much, kind of give you an overview of these two blades. Down the line, we'll be doing full reviews individually of each of these knives, but just show you what's up, why they've been connecting with me, and why every time I hit the trail, these are the two that are really like, oh, biting my nails this summer, going, which one should I take this time out? All right, folks, so here we are again, very different in kind of their profiles and designing that we're gonna see here today, but still completing very similar capability for me, which is a very robust, but on the thinner, lighter side of belt knives. I wouldn't put either of these in a survival knife category to me. Of course, any knife you have on you is a survival knife when you're in a survival situation, but I view those as heavier, longer blades. And I just don't like carrying those when I'm doing a day hike, and speed and lightweight capability is what I am looking for. I'm going miles and miles and miles, and the goal is not to play with knives and use them and get better with them. The goal is to accomplish maybe hitting a peak, you know, getting to a waterfall, you know, whatever it may be. And so we'll go ahead and look here at this very big blend of a lot of different companies, basically, in this Field Buddy 5.5. As I said a little earlier, is kind of a brainchild of many different companies coming together. The Knife Connection basically had the idea. They started their own line, and now they have another slightly larger version. I think they're going to make some more knives down the line with different options, but basically kind of like a build your own, almost mid-tech level knife, in the sense that the Architect series is under the Knife Connection name. And then they went to Tops and was like, can you manufacture the actual blade? So Tops Knives has done 1095, differentially heat treated. Love that steel for a 1095. I love it. It is very tough, very durable, works. It's awesome. And then they put on that the G10 handle scales that they have been doing for years as kind of an aftermarket or build your own with SE, and particularly the SE5 and SE6. But now that they are starting to do handle contouring, they of their own. This is a Micarta one. This came from the factory from SE. apparently, from what I understand, that kind of partnership was going away, so they reached out to SE and said, well, will you let us continue to kind of use basically your handle ergonomics, so the design of the SE6 and SE5 on our knife? And SE said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And so it's kind of this big compilation all coming together to create this knife. And so you go over to the knife connection, you build the knife, you get the knife, then you pick the handle scales that you want. There's lots of different color combinations, and then you pick the sheath, either leather as an option or this amazing well-built Kydex. And then they have lots of different options for belt attachment. I actually went with an AZ Welke belt attachment. AZ Welke does amazing Kydex if you need just a custom Kydex in general. That was kind of the way I went. But it's an amazing package, a little bit on the high end. I think I paid, because I went out and bought this and made this the day that these were released, about 4 months ago, I think. And I paid, I want to say, $165 or $170 total for everything that you see here. So it's right around that $150 to $175, depending basically on what type of belt attachment you go with, is really what it comes down to. So, you know, it's definitely not the cheapest $1095 USA made blade out there, but it has a kind of a level of mid-tech and customability. I can, again, pick any type of color combination on the handle scales, any type of either leather or Kydex sheath designed for the knife. Now, the other thing for me that kind of sets this apart, and I'll go more in detail in the actual video that I do the review on, but I've always loved the handle ergonomics that they've done with their G10 handle scale. So that's really good, full, really fills the hand out really, really well. And you may be going, well, this is basically like an SE5, what's the big deal? This is 5/32. And so at 5/32, it makes the knife with the G10 handle scales 10 ounces. It's about 15 ounces with the Kydex and the layout that I have right here. There are ways you can kind of streamline that even a little bit more. But at 10 ounces, and at 5/32 of an inch thick with a Saber grind, I mean, that is like cherry. I love the blade shape. We're looking at a 5.3 inch actual cutting edge, about 5.5 overall blade length from the handle to the tip. I love high Saber grinds. That's one of my critiques with the SE6. I love the SE6. There's so much good stuff for it, and it is going to be cheaper than this Field Buddy, but it is a full flat grind, which is great for certain aspects and not so great for other aspects. So the high Saber grind just gives it a little bit extra strength, and the SE is at 0.19, I believe, on the thickness. This is 0.15 on the thickness. So the edge geometry to the thickness to everything going on there, it just makes it even just such a wicked cutting tool, but giving you a grind angle and geometry that gives it a little bit more strength and just gives it a feel of a great companion knife that is very robust. It can do a lot of work for you, and just in such an encompassing package, and it's not going to be overkill and not going to take up quite as much space. I have lots of lashing options. That's a big plus. Less lashing options means there's a less likelihood I'm going to carry the knife. So it's what I took on my backpacking trip. I didn't use it too much because there weren't doing fires. We were going, 12-mile loop, all that stuff. So it really fit a niche for me, but I knew that if like something bad happened, if we did have to start a fire, if we had to build a shelter, maybe build, something to work as a stretcher, I could easily use this tool. But if I never even pulled it out of the sheath, it wouldn't be weighing me down and having this big kind of cumbersome blade on me. So I've used it a ton. I am in love with this blade, and one of my two favorite knives to take with me right now this year in 2020 when I go hiking, and particularly if trekking and high speed trekking is something I'm needing and wanting to do. All right, folks, so next up we got this ROKKA knives from Finland. Now this knife just perked my interest immediately. As soon as I saw it on an Instagram post, actually, I was just kind of on Instagram searching around, and I came across this and I was like, oh my gosh, that is like an amazing combo, a blending of kind of like a Scandi Puko style knife, but with some tactical application that really connects with me. And so I'm not going to try to pronounce that name that you see there engraved on the handle. From what I understand, I looked it up. I believe it means Wilderness Warrior, which totally connects with me. And having messaged the owner of ROKKA Knives and the designer of this knife, from what I understand, he was in the military, even did some deployments, I believe, in Iraq or Afghanistan, over in the Middle East area, and this was just kind of his idea of like taking the traditions of Finland with their designs, but also giving it some robustness that he saw, and lashing options with the sheath that he would need in more of a tactical application, soldier application, and he came up with this design. And so I did reach out to them. They did send me this blade to test, review, and I have just fallen in love. If you've been watching the channel, you've seen probably a bunch of day hikes with this knife. At this point, I've used it a ton, and I'm so digging this blade. So some quick attributes and aspects to it. Made in Finland. It is made out of 80 CRV2 carbon steel with a Rockwell on the edge of 63 and a spine Rockwell of 50. So it's got a differential tempering on this. Done extremely well if you know things about knives, and I believe the people that are doing the work for ROKKA really know what they're talking about. I did some research. It seems like they are a really reputable company over in Scandinavia that are doing this kind of differential, if you will, heat treat on this and tempering. And what I have found is that even though you'd expect something at that higher Rockwell to possibly chip, be really chippy and brittle, this thing is durable, it's tough, and I have not chipped the edge whatsoever with a ton of hard work with this knife, which is awesome. It's going to be about a 4 1/4 inch overall cutting edge at 0.2. That's not what you normally would see on like a Mora or other type of Pucos. 0.2, but because of the zero edge grinding, it almost seems like a convex to me. It says, I believe it's a Scandi, but it looks to me much more like a convex. The cutting and biting in of wood on this tool is bananas. Nuts. I can't come up with another word for it. It is crazy and almost supernatural in how well it can get into wood and bite on almost any type of wood and create shavings, notches, and finer work. It is bananas, but still has robustness that you're like, I could thump on this if I had to, and it's not gonna, flex on me in a bad way, and it's not gonna be so brittle that it snaps, and it's gonna be so tough and durable. It's a full tank construction, comes out the back, really nice and lightweight. I'm annotating that in now because I'm looking at the grams, but I mean, it's a lightweight package, but still fills out my hand and just so well. It's so warm to the touch, really grippy. And then the sheath is another bonus. A lot of these Puco designs that I connect with, even I'm thinking of my Mora, here's a Mora heavy duty companion. And yes, in many ways it's like, why? Because this guy's gonna go here in the US for about 140, 150 shipped over here to the US. But it's about the same size as your heavy duty companion. Well, one, if you know anything about knives and you love knives, you know the level of difference of just quality. And I will say, even though Moras are phenomenal, the grinding and the edge geometry and the edge retention on this tool is mind-blowing. But also the amount of lashing options that this sheath is going to get you. It comes with what's called a molly clip. You can screw it in on either side, so it's completely ambidextrous. It's light enough. You could wear it as a neck knife if you want to through that lanyard hole up there. You can screw on blade tech locks or any other type of lashing mechanism that you would want. And this thing locks in so securely. I've carried it upside down, hiking a bunch. It's silent. I mean, nothing. So, I mean, you could carry that hunting, again, in a tactical application if you wanted to. I mean, that thing is crazy good, guys. And so it's a phenomenal, it just gives me like a robust reliability factor, 90-degree spine as well, that my Moras just don't quite offer to me, just because of the designing, a lot of the sheath attachment, and things like that. So, and then obviously the quality of steel is very, 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 very good. So folks, this thing has become one of my favorites, and of the two this year, every time I'm doing a high speed, long distance hike, this is one of the two that I just like, I gotta get it. I gotta have it. It's gotta be on there. I wanna take it with me. So there they are, folks. Just wanna kind of run them side by side for you just so you could kind of see them. They are different. But man, do they rock. So just wanted to give you kind of a taste, what your whistle. Again, we'll go into a little bit more detail and talk a little bit more and do some competitive options and all that jazz in future videos where they are separated, but just wanted to do this fun kind of different style of video with you. I invite you to subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. Check out the other video popping up. Become part of the GT family here, folks. Cranking out videos like this all the time and just having fun with you and talking about new gear and good gear and bad gear and all the rest, week in, week out. So you're awesome. Always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.